this is our topic for this for next 30 minutes, 40 minutes. That as it says, making native iOS apps with Ruby. Yes, we can. So as we have told in our description that Ruby developers are no longer an outcast in the world of iOS development. You are truly now part of native iOS development with this tool chain called RubyMotions. So let's start. Who are we? I'm Akshat I'm Abhishek. And we are programmers from sunny New Delhi. And it's really sunny there. It's like you're from the sun when you come to Pune. So this is a funny picture, but this is a picture which depicts friendship. You know, it's from a popular Bollywood movie. I love that movie. And why did we choose it? Because there's a story that me and Abhishek, we're not just colleagues. We are friends for almost a decade. We did our graduation together. We are programmers making projects, hobbyist projects in our college days. Then we worked for a startup. That is where we were introduced to iOS. And now we work for a big corporate together. So is there something else?
Almost like 10 years we were working together. So Pune is a very important place for us. So like 1 year back we were in Pune and we used to roam on bikes in the similar
I don't know who we were chasing or we were chased by. I don't know what happened. But I had a more historical bike than this one.
So celebrating our 10-year friendship next year, our book is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So next month our book is releasing on RubyMotion, for which we are here. The book name is RubyMotion iOS Development Essentials.
So guys, and besides being Ruby developers, we are also selfish programmers. You know, we do not leave any opportunity to publicize our book. So on July 1st, grab a copy of RubyMotion iOS Development Essential at a bookstore near you. If you don't get it in the morning, 100% you'll get it on Pirates Bay by end of that day. So even if you don't get it, you'll get a copy. So let's start with the presentation. Hello, we are talking about us.
So before start, let me just know the audience. So how many of you do mobile development? Oh, plenty of. So how many of you do mobile development using native iOS framework? Few. How many of you enjoy this? Very few. Or slightly. I can't see.
I think these lights are really nice. You just can't see any answers. You know? so we presume there are few who enjoy native iOS. That's a surprising answer. You know, because I don't know about you guys, but we simply hate it. But why do we hate making native iOS apps? You know, why do we prefer these hybrid frameworks? Why the hell do we hate it? You know, we are Apple fanboys. To be very frank with you, we are Apple fanboys. We love their design, we love their apps, we love what they do. You know, they just ship us their products, they just tell us about their apps. But one thing which I hate about them is this iOS development toolkit which they have. This train wreck of toolkit which they give us. One is Xcode and other is Objective-C. Xcode, if I start with Xcode heads down is the worst IDE I've ever used. Means it's unbelievable that these people actually made these beautiful apps like iLife using Xcode. And what should I talk about Objective-C? Like Objective-C, I can rest my case by saying that I would prefer Java over Objective-C. That's a big statement at a RubyConf. So yeah, one more thing. I just forgot. You know, you guys are so silent. You know, we can see any expression. So you know, if you look at this picture, we worked a lot on this picture. Right? So if you see iOS development, it's like a castle, and this iOS SDK, she's like a princess in between, but she's guarded by this one side an Xcode and one side Objective-C, and you need to cross these guards, you need to cross these walls in order to reach this iOS SDK. So let's take it in parts so that you understand our animosity towards these two. So let's take the first part, Xcode. So this is the normal world. This is how we start every day. This is how we start our morning every day. This is my iOS application in Xcode. Sorry for that. Okay, this is my iOS application in Xcode, in Sublime. So I love the Sublime. I love this text editor. But the problem with iOS development is that Apple doesn't allow me to use my own text editor. It forces me to use Xcode. And what kind of trade-off of an IDE is this? Just look at it. Just look at it. How many windows? There are nodal windows. They are nested menus. Just under. They have used, God damn it, every possible real estate on this whole window. There is a debugger window. There is property editor. Just look at it. And on a big screen, it still looks good. But imagine working on this on an 11-inch Air. Totally not workable. Totally not workable. But still there is a silver lining beside the crashes and version updates of Xcode, but there's still a silver lining in Xcode. So while I used to work in Xcode, I thought I'd write a blog about it. We are Ruby developers. We blog about everything, goddamn it, everything. So I thought, why not start a blog and share my thoughts with fellow developers, about Xcode. But what's funny about Xcode is that you won't spend that much time working on this IDE, but more you'll spend the jokes on IDE. So I stumbled upon this site called Text from Xcode, and this is a funny site. You can spend hours and hours on these jokes. If Xcode sends you a message, if Xcode sends you a text message, it's a funny one. Just have a look at it. So what's next?
So next is Objective-C. So it is the most strange language I have worked. Guys, I trust me, like I worked on Java and C++, a lot of languages, but this is the most strange one. So I thought a year back, I thought I would learn this language, and I downloaded the code from GitHub. So generally these Xcode projects are in kilograms, you can say, very big projects. So after 15-20 minutes of download, I start looking at the code. So the first line which I saw was this. As a Ruby developer, it was very strange. I don't understand what is this void, caret void block, and it's totally confused me. So it was very strange. So I also want to share one more example. So in generally in Ruby world, we use a lot of hashes. Like a lot of hashes we have a key, then we have a value. So but in Objective-C, we write value first and then Ruby. So it was completely strange to me how they have designed it. So maybe it's good for my grandpa, but not for me. So in the end, but still I tried, and in the end my reaction was.
That's what happens when you work with this toolkit. You get frustrated, but the thing is that when project comes in, when deadlines come, when forced labor, when you work in companies, you got to work on it. You continue to work on it. The difference, what happened, something magical happened with us in the midst of May 2012, and we got our savior. A year back we got RubyMotion, and RubyMotion saved us from the clutches of Xcode on one side and Objective-C on the other side, and life is beautiful. So let's start with RubyMotion. We can spend another session, bashing Xcode and Objective-C and turn this mic off and go. That would be a great session, but let's start with RubyMotion. So what is RubyMotion? RubyMotion creators say that it's a revolutionary tool chain which lets you develop native iOS apps with the expressive notes of Ruby, etc., etc., etc. But to be short and sweet, it's a dream come true for all you Ruby developers. And in next 20 minutes, you'll understand why we are talking about it, how things have changed rapidly in the last 1 year for us, the Ruby developers. So something before we begin our presentation on RubyMotion and its features. RubyMotion is a proprietary software. It costs you $1.99 over and above Apple developer program. But believe me, each and every dollar spent is worthy when you see those Apple checks. It is totally worth it. And another thing is that you should know Ruby. That will really help you. So this is RubyConf. We expect most of Ruby developers. So
he's a Laurent. He's a creator of RubyMotion. So he was an ex-Apple employee. He resigned from Apple, disappeared for a while, and then come up with a company called HipByte. So RubyMotion was the first product of HipByte. So also for anything, like if you want to talk for a new feature or bug or training, licenses, discounts, he is the only point of contact. So also like he is a creator and maintainer of MacRuby. So he is a person who make Objective-C and Ruby work together.
but how did he do it? Is it possible?
Yeah. So how Ruby and Objective-C work together? They are like enemies. How can they work together? So Ruby is an interpreted language, Objective-C is a compiled language, and how can they work? So this diagram is the way how it works. So basically the Ruby written in RubyMotion is rewritten on the top of Objective-C runtime and foundation framework. So the Ruby code which you write in RubyMotion, when you build a code project, it converts to machine code and it interacts with Objective-C runtime. In the similar way, how Objective-C code which we write in Objective-C, like LLVM, convert that to bytecode, and then your bytecode interact with Objective-C runtime. So it's somewhat similar. So in here, there is no interpreter, no garbage collector in RubyMotion. It's simply a bytecode which you get when you build it. So basically, you create application from Objective-C or RubyMotion. They are same. So you can choose anything.
So if we can choose anyone, why should we choose RubyMotion? What is the reason to work on RubyMotion? We already have this Objective-C and Xcode. Why should we use RubyMotion? Well, the fun thing is that we love Ruby, right? That's why we are celebrating it at RubyConf, you know. I love Ruby, you love Ruby, we all love Ruby. I think I can agree on this one. But that's not the single most reason to use RubyMotion. Now, RubyMotion, the code, the RubyMotion code, it's not like the phone gap. It's not like using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then when you load it up in your phone, it's like it opens up WebKit window and you use it with the shitty performance. No, it's not like that. It's mere metal machine code. So you cannot make difference whether it's a code compiled using Objective-C or it's RubyMotion. It's absolutely the same. So the performance is good. It is as fast as Objective-C. What's next is that it has same ancestors as Objective-C. What does that even mean? What does it even mean? You know, it has same ancestors as Objective-C. Here is an example. Like in Ruby, if we have a number, it is inherited from fixed num, which is in turn inherited from integer, which is inherited from numeric, which in turn is inherited from the main object class. In case of RubyMotion, the same thing happens to numeric. The numeric is in turn inherited from ns number, which ns value, and that is inherited from the main ns object class, which is an Objective-C class. So what benefit it gives you is that you can use Ruby methods and you can access Objective-C classes, and it lets you use the simplicity of Ruby along with the power of Objective-C, the work which has already been done. So how does it help us? How does it help us? That was quite some technical knowledge which I gave, but how does it help us, Abhishek?
So what actually is it really nice thing? You can access all the classes which is already created in iOS SDK. So you can use every classes which is defined in iOS SDK plus the Ruby strings and all the question you can use. So like if you want to use GPS, camera, anything you can use on that moment. And if there is any update from, like there's an update right now of iOS 7. So from that day only you can use iOS 7. You don't have to wait for someone that they implement that and then you have to use it. Because we are directly using that. So doesn't it is a jackpot?
It is in turn a jackpot. So one wall is down. We no longer need to work with Objective-C. But what about the next one? Let's look at it. Terminal-based flow. We love this window. This is my terminal. You know, I love it. I have spent more hours with terminal with God damn it, anyone else, not even my best friend here. You know, I spend so much time with this. I love it. But Apple does not let me allow it. You know, when I work with Xcode. But with RubyMotion, you can do everything with simple rate tasks. You can create your application with simple motion command. You can build your package. You can test it on device. You can do everything through terminal, and that's an added advantage. Another thing is that you can use whatever IDE you like. You're free to use anything. You want to use Wave, you want to use Sublime, you want to use TextMate, you want to use Emacs, whatever you like, you can use it. And my personal favorite would be RubyMine because it has complete integration with RubyMotion. So why would I say RubyMine? But of course, there are plugins with Sublime which have RubyMotion integration. So what happens is that these Objective-C classes, they are huge. They are very well elaborated. You need to see it. You know, they have names of classes which are almost 50, 60, 80 characters long. I don't know what they were thinking while they were making it. But whenever you want to work on it, you know, you need to copy it from Apple's developer reference, paste it in your code. So that's some work, you know, because those are long and pompous classes. So RubyMine makes it really easy. Same as the case with Sublime. You can use Sublime too. So what does it mean? It means the wall is down. The wall is down, we are into the castle. Xcode is down, Objective-C is down, we are in the castle with iOS SDK. What does it mean? It means let's make some love to iOS SDK. It's time for some demos. We have 3 demos. Let's start. So the first one is
hello world.
age-old hello world.
So we have a command called motion. So we can do a lot of operations with motion command. We can create a project. We can raise a ticket with RubyMotion and a lot of stuff we can do. So let me just create a project called hello world. So it has created a full folder structure. If we see, the folder structure has been created. So there are a lot of files it has created, auto-created. So we can see there is an app folder. The app folder contains all your files, all your code will be there in app folder. You can even change this where you want to configure. You can create other folder and configure in breakfile. So by default it is an app folder. So you if you keep all your files in app folder, it automatically, you don't have to require something, because in RubyMotion require does not work because it is built on runtime. So that's why there is required not work. So it will automatically, if you put something in app folder, it will automatically pick up. So if you see in app, there is a file called app delegate. So basically, app delegate is in a control lifecycle. If you are familiar with iOS development, so like if you start application, stop application, everything is handled through app delegate. This is inherited with UI app delegate class. Apart from that, there is a resource folder. So all your static files you can put in resource folder, and then there is spec folder. You can write your unit test cases in this file. So all the test cases you can by default has created one a test for you. Other file is REPL. Basically, this is it contains all your configuration. Right now it's very neat, but if we go to our terminal and write RubyConf, you can see all the default configurations which RubyMotion provides. So instead of doing all things, RubyMotion provides some default configuration for you. But if you want to change, then you can directly change here. So if you want that I want to create a app for iPad, there is an attribute called device family. You can just change to iPad or universal, whatever you want. Even which framework you want to, you have to just include in your make file, and it will automatically use. And there are a lot of configuration. You can see even what provisioner profile it is using, and a lot of configuration you can do. So this is REPL. So let me just create a hello world.
So the REPL we were telling you about it, you can put all the settings very easily, your developer certificate, etc., etc. So there's complete App Store compliance. So you don't have to worry about your application when it comes to RubyMotion.
So this UINet view is provided by Google library, so we are directly using in our application.
Just look at it how we declare the object. It's just like Ruby. UI alert view dot new. We are not allocating, we are not initializing how we do it in Objective-C. If somebody here has worked in Objective-C, it's so simple. It's just like Ruby.
So by default it provides a lot of rake commands. If we want to see, you can see all the different rake commands provided. So if you want to start in a simulator, just on that folder, run rake simulator, it will automatically open on simulator. So if you want to run it on device, you just write rake device, and it will automatically install the device which is connected to it. And all the things. And like if you want to create a distributed app binary file, you can easily create by rake archive distribution. So all things are handled with rake command. So let me open this in simulator. So if we write rake, it will automatically, by default it's rake simulator. So here is the hello world. So it's very straightforward. Now if we write instead of new log in it, then also it will work, because we can write our Objective-C stuff here also. So new is how we do in Ruby. So that's it. Now let me show you a different cool example, which I feel is cool. So this is a very nice feature which only RubyMotion provides. It's not, as of my knowledge, it is not built in Objective-C world. So let me just run this application.
So there are times, in a developer's day, when you run your application, like Abhishek here is showing a very cool game to people. Then you want to make some change. You don't want to go back to code, make a change, build it, see it. Oh man, I made a wrong change. So let's look at it. REPL. So this is called REPL.
So REPL is like if we have used like Fiverr. So if I select, I press command and then I press select this object. You can see a red window box is coming. So I've selected this, and you can see on the terminal that object is selected. So now you can change things on the time. So if I see self, then it will automatically show that object name. So for this, actually, there is a gem called Joybox, which is a wrapper for Coco 2D library of Objective-C. So you can, with this gem, you can create 2D games in just one day. So let me show you an example for this. Let me create one action. So now I will run this, or I'll select this and I will perform operation. So you can see that object is moving. So I use Joybox syntax and text. I created an action, and now I'm performing this directly on this. So in your real-time application, you have created some text box, and you want to change, like you want to change the shadow, which color is looking bad. You can just select it through this wrapper, and directly change on your terminal. You see, okay, this code is looking good. Copy that code in your code, and then build. Generally what we do, we have to rebuild everything for every change. So in this way, you can save a lot of time. So this is a cool feature which I like about RubyMotion.
Cool demos, Abhishek. Thanks a lot. So what is left is testing. RubyMotion supports, as we had shown in folder structure, there is already a spec file. So RubyMotion has a testing framework called McBacon, which is a clone of RSpec. So all those of you who have worked in RSpec, it won't be tough for you to test cases with RubyMotion. The next one is RubyGems. How can we miss RubyGems? Life is so simple and easy with RubyGems. All we payloads appreciate it. We use code. So, but what about RubyGems? RubyGems won't work with RubyMotions. That's a bad news. That's very bad news. But these guys at RubyMotion, these are smart guys. So what they have for you is RubyMotion flavored gems. You don't have to worry. There is a wrapper for everything. There's bubble wrap, there's sugar cube. Already just 1 year in the release, RubyMotion has a lot of wrappers and gems available, like bubble wrap, which really lets you make use of HTTP calls or RSS parser or camera, everything. It makes it so Ruby-like. Then there is Teacup. One problem when you code with native apps is that you need to even make the view. You need to program it, laboriously write your code. And we guys are more comfortable with CSS kind of a structure. So Teacup is a gem which helps you make your layouts, make your views in a CSS kind of style. So there are so many. There's motion layout for auto layout. Auto layout is an important feature which we include in our apps. Then there is motion colorize, motion fixtures, calibrash for BDD. So you can find all these wrappers at RubyMotionWrappers.com, which is maintained by one of the veteran RubyMotion developer, Clay Alsop. And even if you make a gem, then this is why we are here, to motivate you people to contribute to RubyMotion. There's a lot of work which we can do, and contribute from India too.
So the reason why RubyGems does not work is that the required command does not work in RubyMotion. So that's why it does not work. But we have RubyMotion wrap. A lot of wrappers are there. So instead, apart from these RubyMotion wrappers, there are a lot of work which in Objective-C world has already been done. So there is no make sense to reinvent the wheel again. So we can use all Objective-C code which is already written in our RubyMotion application. So basically, for doing this, there are 3 ways to do it. If you want to include a static file, Objective-C file like .m extension, you just create a vendor folder, put in that file in your that vendor folder, update in your rake file, and like if you have created a function called hello world, then that hello world function you can use from your Ruby code. So this is the one way. Second, if you want to include an Xcode project, so simply drop your Xcode code in vendor, include in your rake file, and you can use that Xcode project. And third one, which I like the most, is Coco Bonds. So basically, CocoaPod is RubyGem. You have heard about RubyGem.org. So this is for Objective C. So there are a lot of pods which you can say are gems. So which are already they are like for creating games, which I told you Coco 2D. So you can create games in one day. So there are a lot of pods are available. It's using that is very simple, just including a rake file, and whenever you run rake command or a bit run rake for device, it will automatically download it from pod and to do all the stuff automatically. So you can use this very easily. So this is the best way to do it. The next cool stuff is bundler. So, but I think everyone must know what is bundler is. Like this is the best feature which I like of Rails C++. You can use for all your dependency manager. You can use a bundler. So same gem you can use in our RubyMotion project for all your Ruby dependency.
Cool. So we are almost drawing into our presentation here. Community is something we mentioned about. Just like Ruby World, RubyMotion community is very vibrant, very active. We have a Google group where you can join. You don't need to go to Stack Overflow. There are expert RubyMotion developers available at Google group. Just drop in your query, share your thoughts, and you'll get an answer quickly, very, very quickly. There's a Motion Hangout on Google Plus which happens every month, and it is from the core team of RubyMotion. You can join them, share your thoughts, ask them for a new feature. If you have made any gem or wrapper, tell it to the community. We all meet up every month on Google Plus. We already have a conference. RubyMotion already has a conference. Just 1 year into the release, there's already a conference. You can look at its slides. You can come there. It's going to be a lot. This year it happened in Brussels, and next year is going to happen in Cancan, Mexico. So it's a good place to hang out. Just to motivate you guys a little bit more, there are already over 100 apps made using RubyMotion. So this is 100% App Store compliant. You don't have to worry. Go ahead, start working. Get your idea, build it, push it on App Store. One of the popular examples would be Basecamp. Its iOS app is totally made on Ruby using RubyMotion. So that's it. I think that's all, folks. Did we miss something? Did we miss something on this? Did we? Yes? You didn't know. Okay. Yes, we have missed something. With RubyMotion version 2.0 on its first birthday, you, the Ruby developers, can now develop Mac apps. So now it's like a two-sided sword, where you can do iOS apps and you can do Mac apps. So that's why we say, yes, you can. Thank you, guys. We are open to questions.
Great talk. We are open for questions now.
How much time do we have? We have a lot of time.
Great progress. Like you said, the whole code is tightly compiled, so requires a lot of docking. So what about better programming? I'm guessing even that won't work.
We can do better programming. So the required part will, like if you are using required all stuff, that will not work. But even there are a lot of blogs are there on meta programming. So Claysoft, I've seen a blog on meta programming, and you can refer that. It's a nice blog.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I have another question. How can I debug this code? Another question.
Yeah. So
how can I integrate GUI objects like slider and all?
Okay, so you can also use interface builder. So you can just design all your storyboard and zip file and create through Xcode if you want. If you don't want to do programmatically, just design in interface builder and create storyboard and zip file and put it in your resource folder, and it RubyMotion automatically pick that. So you have to just map it.
And for debugging, there is a debugger. We didn't.
Let's say I'm on Xcode side. I can develop much faster when I'm using interface
builder.
Yeah. So when I'm coming to this RubyMotion,
Okay.
to develop the same application, it will take some time.
Yeah. So if you're saying interface builder, you can easily use in RubyMotion. So you can design everything in if you want to design the UI in interface builder.
So, I mean, what I'm asking is, without Xcode, there is no native interface for RubyMotion to interact with you.
No. And your answer regarding that debugger, there is a called GCC. There is a some debugging tool. So you can debug even on device and also on simulator. So you have to write just rate debug equals to 1, and then automatically when you run it, it will on and you can put breakpoints. And if we use RubyMine, you can directly put breakpoints in your code. And when it runs, it will automatically break that point. You can check the different values, the instant variable, and make changes.
Connections to database also works very easy.
Yeah, it's similar to you can use code data and similar way in how Objective-C works.
And you said there is no garbage collector in this RubyMotion, right?
So
yeah,
so I think after Rails 5, Objective-C 6, there is a automatically down. There is way to automatically handle memory. So in this way,
Xcode 4.
So it uses count system. So if an object is allocated, it increases count, and when it is used, the counter decreases. So in this way, it uses memory allocation and duplicate. So you don't have to take care; it will automatically take care of that.
so if I want to directly invoke the garbage collector in RubyMotion, RubyMotion will take care of it. I cannot invoke it.
Hello, there are some tools available in Xcode, like to check performance, to check networking, to check battery life. So because it is very crucial when we develop application on mobile, so it is very essential to check all those things. So does RubyMotion support all these things?
So that's a very good question. Actually, right now it does not support. I think I was Lauren is working on this stuff. So I think right now we can't. As of I know, the profiling stuff and performance thing you can't right now.
I have two questions for you. The first is like Rails follows MVC architecture. So RubyMotion looks like it follows similar architecture. I mean, is it MVC or something else?
It's totally depend on developer how to develop. But like in Objective-C also we use view controller. So in the same way we create view controller, and you generally in my application I created a model for the view controller.
There are gems which will help you create that structure. And if you don't like it, you can even make one. Right now we don't have one. So.
And the second one, which could be a very stupid question, but anyways, do we need a Mac to have the perspective? Necessarily.
Yeah, I missed that one. So more than Ruby, first you need a Mac.
I guess, well, my question, I have a couple of questions. The first question is, RubyMotion is not free. Okay, so any, card build offers you guys having for, I'm a Rails guy, I'm not a...
So there is no other trial here, but if you don't like it in 30 days, you can, it will be refunded if you don't like it. So this is how otherwise you can contact Lauren. He's a very nice guy, you just tune him.
Okay, my second question is, how you design UI with the help of CSS? You said that you design UI with the help of CSS.
Yeah, there's a gem for that. If you use a gem teacup, so it handles it. So it lets you make your UI. Like if you want to change color, you want any placement, it lets you do that. It handles everything.
So it's not exactly CSS, not CSS file. It's basically you write somewhat different in it, but somewhat you can relate with CSS. But it's a nice way, and it automatically take care of auto layout and all stuff. So if you have different device,
if you have different orientation,
devices, it automatically take care. But still, he is improving it. Who's the creator? I don't remember.
Colin.
Thanks for the session. Do you contribute to this from a source point of view in any way?
So far, our contribution is writing the book, and hopefully by next year we'll be able to showcase some more stuff.
The second question is that is this we're considering using RubyMotion for apps we need to build for our customers. It's been 1 year. It's good news. It's been alive. The other thing is it depends on one person. So what is the feature like?
It all depends what
And what's the potential, and obviously all these things
So,
have potential to
Similar thing actually I was talking with Rocky or Rocky's guy. So he was saying generally if this type of thing happens, so if he is leaving, generally he open source that project. So right now it is.
See, I'll tell you. See,
There are other people contributing to this, and they will.
Right now I think there is one more guy from Japan.
These are actually team of the coding is around 4 guys in hip hop. See, the other thing is that how long is your app? Is your app going to last a decade or something? Because like banks, they are still into the legacy world. They research it so much. Okay, so in every software, your software is not going to last 2, 3, 4 years. So it depends on what kind of market you want to cater to. So you have to see the technology window, how long it is. Okay, so now your clients want to use it for next 2 years, 3 years. That's it. RubyMotion will be here. It's rocking right now. I can see it. But just like developers, we keep changing frameworks from time to time. This is just how business keeps changing. So right now, this one guy is maintaining, but as Abhishek said, maybe it will be open source. But right now, we cannot comment on it.
Because it's likely to kind of open the model up where it's more like a subscription-based community of open source contributors. So there is some talent behind it, but still he makes money out of it from a subscription base, for example, like other open sources work. Because in this case, he's a closed kind of system where he's the guy who owns this, and what do you guys think in terms of, you give me an answer, just betting on this is like a bet at this point?
I didn't get you.
It's a gamble at this point because of the risks involved in the one person doing this. I'm just wondering, behind the scenes, there are other people contributing to it. He may be the guy who's coordinating all this, like Linus Torvalds, but in terms of there are more people. Obviously, MacRuby is open source based on which this was developed, so that's good. I just wanted to see whether that's a good way.